the person with the disability doesn't fit their cookie cutter, then they're just quite out of luck. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Nick Speaks, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud. My name is Nicholas Comstock. I am your host. You guys, I'm so glad you're with me today. This is a very special episode. I usually don't say the number that we're on, but I think it's a pretty big number to tout. So this is the 30th episode of Nick Speaks. I cannot believe it. It's the 30th episode. I've been doing this faithfully every week since August. And before I get into today's show, I want to give a shout out to my producer, Kyle Goodnight of Kyle Goodnight Podcasting Solutions, because I could not do this without Kyle. I could not come to you every week with the content that I do if it wasn't for Kyle, who did all the editing, making sure I look good on camera, calling me and saying, Nick, don't wear certain clothes because you make it look weird in the editing process. And so I'm like, thanks, Kyle. I'll be sure not to wear these certain clothes. I think he called me today before I went on air and he said, don't wear green anymore because the last time you wore green, it made you look off center and everything else. So don't wear green anymore. So you guys will never see me wear green again, at least in this format, because it apparently does something with my producer's editing software. And I want to take this time to say, if you guys are thinking about starting a podcast, reach out to Kyle at Kyle Goodnight Podcasting Solutions. It's actually not called Kyle Goodnight Podcasting Solutions. It's called Goodnight Podcasting Solutions. Reach out to him and he can meet all your podcasting needs tailored to you, pricing tailored to you, depends on what you need. And like I said, I know that I could not do this without him. So happy 30th episode, Kyle, and thank you for everything that you do for me and the listeners of Nick Speaks, because Nick Speaks would not be here without you. So thank you very much. With that in mind, guys, I want to take this 30th episode and tell you what I've been through this past week. This past week, I made the decision, and it wasn't a very difficult one, to close my case with Vocational Rehabilitation, which is a service that helps people with disabilities all across the country, supposed to help us find jobs. And I have been with Vocational Rehabilitation multiple times in multiple counties and in 2 different states as well. And I have not been a success story with vocational rehabilitation. In fact, I've been told by people that are contracted through vocational rehabilitation that I am not employable. And from what these people look at me, from what these people see, and these people look at me, they see nothing that I can offer an employer. That's what I've been told multiple times. And most recently in 2021, I reopened a case with vocational rehab in 2021 to try to find a job. And I said, I want to do public speaking. I want to do this. And they said, well, first I tried to find, a regular job, like customer service or something, just to make money so that I could start my own business. And I did a 6-hour test with someone who will remain nameless, but they were contracted through vocational rehab. Actually, she won't remain nameless. I'll give her a name. Someone by the name of Rachel. That's not her real name, but we'll give her a name just for context. I did a 6-hour test with someone by the name of Rachel, who said at the end of that test that from what she could see, and she kept using the phrase, Nick, I'm looking at you in the world of work. And I'm going, okay, what does that mean? She said, from what I see, there's nothing you can offer an employer. And this 6-hour test was composed of me putting pegs in a board the size of a grain of rice, me moving my foot around on a pedal to see if I could move an arrow around and catch up to it in a timely manner. Then there were all these different scenarios to try and see how I would react to these different work scenarios. And by that 6-hour test, Rachel felt that from what she could see and her testing skills, whatever those are, I think they're pretty much next to nothing. She spent 6 hours with me and saw that I was unemployable, according to her. But she said, according to her testing results, she found that I was unemployable due to my disability. And she saw nothing, quote, I see nothing that you can offer an employer. So that is when, after I took that test in 2021, I said, okay, well, I'm going to close my case for a while. And then someone from the state of Ohio encouraged me to reopen it. So I did. And I said, okay, now I want to go through the self-employment process. You guys, I'm going to save you a lot of headaches. Do not go through the self-employment process through vocational rehabilitation, at least here in the state of Ohio, because I was told that they don't do a lot of self-employment cases and they're not well versed in it. So if you want to do self-employment, at least in the state of Ohio, do not do it through our state's vocational rehabilitation, because they told me, quote, we do not do a lot of self-employment cases. We are not well versed in self-employment. That is a quote from a team member at Vocational Rehabilitation here in the state of Ohio. And so if you're in the state of Ohio wanting to do self-employment, don't do it through this agency. It's going to put you in a lot of headaches. Unless you're selling a product, then maybe if you're actually selling a product like baked goods or something, I don't know, maybe Ohio Voc Rehabilitation will be able to help you. But I don't know, because I'm selling myself, because I'm wanting to do public speaking, they're not sure what I want to do, whether I want to be a self-enrichment teacher or a DJ disc jockey, or, Ohio's not sure what I want to do. So I'm up a creek without a paddle, even though I've told them I want to be a public speaker. You guys invite me to speak at conferences and be on panels. I want to get paid for that. I want to expand on that. They don't know how to do that. In fact, vocational rehabilitation, the only good thing that came out of it for me this go around is the fact that I found my producer, Kyle. I found it through something the state of Ohio put me through called Career Discovery. And it's where you get a case manager assigned. You tell that case manager what it is you want to do, and then the case manager goes and finds people that are in that field for you and that case manager to then sit down and interview together. And you guys, the reason Nick Speaks is here right now, the reason Nick Speaks, the podcast that's dedicated to the disabled community, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most, the reason Nick Speaks is here right now is because everybody that I talk to in the in the public speaking field, said, Nick, you need to do a podcast. So that is how I know that this is one of my callings in life, is to do a podcast, to do a show surrounding my life story and all the struggles that I've had to go through, and to help other people that are in my position or are in a more difficult position than I am, to say, hey, look, it's not easy, but it can be done if you just keep going. So the only good thing that came out of vocational rehabilitation for me was meeting my producer, Kyle. Kyle helps me land guests. Kyle helps me promote my podcast. Kyle produces and edits my podcast. And he's become a very good friend of mine and a very good asset to me. And like I said earlier in the show, Nick Speaks would not be here if it was not for Kyle Goodnight. So again, I appreciate you, Kyle. And, like I said, Kyle's the only good thing that came out of this process for Voc Rehab. It was so mind-boggling to me that Voc Rehab was having such a problem figuring this out. They couldn't figure out a way to pay my producer. Kyle had to become a provider in order for Voc Rehab to pay him. Well, in turn, that would delay him getting paid for 6 weeks. And I said, no, that's not happening. So they were always, well, what does Kyle do for you? And I would tell them explicitly what Kyle did for me. And I would tell them over and over again, and they still couldn't get it. So last Friday, I wrote probably one of the most fiery emails that I ever wrote to anybody. And I said, it is clear that from where I sit, no one at Voc Rehab knows what the hell they're doing when it comes to self-employment. And I don't know I don't know why this is so difficult. And I just went off. I'm not going to tell you everything I said, but I did sign it. My signature was, I mean this with my whole chest, Nick Comstock. That was my signature to the vocational rehabilitation email, to my vocational rehabilitation counselor when I wanted to close my case, because I was just so frustrated. It was like we would have a meeting, and it was like almost as if the vocational rehabilitation counselor had a stroke between our meetings, because they kept asking, the vocational rehabilitation kept asking, what does Kyle do for me? And what does this person do for me? And the vocational rehabilitation is different from Rachel, which is the girl who told me that I was unemployable. Rachel was contracted through vocational rehabilitation to do some test, which has absolutely nothing to do with what I want to do. I'm not going to get paid for putting small pegs that are the size of a grain of rice in a board. I'm not going to get paid for putting my foot on a pedal and seeing if I can chase an arrow on a big screen. So I don't know what the purpose of those tests were, but whatever. I mean, everyone at my state right now is like, this is so unique. We don't know what to do with Nick. And I'm like, you guys invite me to volunteer to speak in conferences and panels all the time. You're telling me you can't figure out a way to pay me for that? Like, you're telling me you can't figure out a way in this government program to market myself and to market my social media and to find me a social media manager. I mean, I have 67,000 followers on TikTok. I should be getting paid from that, but I'm not because I haven't found a way to monetize it. I've tried to get into the creator rewards program, which I found out allegedly that the creator rewards program on TikTok takes like 50% of the money. I don't know if it's that much, but I heard it's a sizable chunk. And for whatever reason, I couldn't get into that program. But I know I have several videos that have gone viral within the past few days. Well, not really a few days, few months. Because I know you have to have like 100,000 views on a video within 30 days for you to go viral or for you to qualify for the TikTok creator program. So I haven't had a 100,000 view video in 30 days. I haven't had a 100,000 view video in a while. It's been a long time. So go over there and help me out on TikTok at Nicholas Comstock. Blow up one of my videos. I don't care which one it is. I'm sure there are several that would help you. So go blow up one of my videos and get it to 1 million, and then maybe I can get in the creator fund. But anyway, so basically I closed out my case with Voc Rehab because I'm done being jerked around. I'm done with all the red tape. I'm done with all the paperwork. There were some times that I felt that the agency was being dishonest with me. I don't think they were doing it on purpose. I don't think they were being dishonest with me on purpose. I just think now that I look back on it, that they truly did not know what the hell they were doing when it came to my case. So, yeah. So I've closed the case with Voc Rehab, and I am totally out here on my own. So I am coming to you guys on this 30th episode of Nick Speaks to say, please help me. I want to expand my public speaking career. I've done conferences. I've done speeches at my Ohio State House on the Ohio State steps. I want to expand that and do more. I want to do television interviews. I want to go out of state and speak. I know there's a lot to do when it comes to going out of state to speak, especially because I'm a wheelchair user and I'm a power wheelchair user. So we would have to figure that out, but I'm willing to do anything. At this point, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel as it comes to finances. Like I've said several times, guys, I'm on a shoestring budget. I get paid from the government and they pay me barely a drop in the bucket. I get $63 a month on food stamps. I am literally waiting until my food stamps have enough money on it so that I can actually go to the store and buy a decent amount of food. I'm tired of being on the government system. So if you know of a news reporter, if you know of a talk show host, if you can send this episode to them, I would love to be interviewed by you. I would love to get my story out there. My dream would be to be in front of live audiences several times a year. I love the energy of a live audience. I love to come and play with my audience. Somebody suggested in my social media comments the other day, why don't you teach caregivers? I did that for about 3 weeks before the pandemic hit, and then I got shut down. I would love to teach caregivers, again, from my perspective. I would love to do that. So if you're an agency out there, whether you're in Ohio or you're in another state, and you would love for me to come teach your caregivers from my perspective as a client, reach out to me at nickspeaksofficial@gmail.com. And as far as Voc Rehab, I know that I'm not the only one that struggles with this. I don't know if I've said this statistic yet on this program, but I know I said it I know it was told to me on another program that I was a guest on that is supposed to be out sometime this month. So I'm just going to say it. 22% of people with disabilities as of 2023, this is a statistic from the Department of Labor, 22% of people with disabilities as of 2023, per the Department of Labor, are gainfully employed. Why is that number so low? I'll tell you why. Because Voc Rehab, I'll tell you one of the reasons why I think why. I'm not sure the exact reason, but I don't think Voc Rehab all across the country is equipped to really help people with disabilities achieve their dream. I feel like they are very cookie cutter. And if the person with the disability doesn't fit their cookie cutter, then they're just quite out of luck. Because I've talked to other people that have had situations with Voc Rehab and it's gone the same way. And at some point, we have to look at the program that they're running and say, why is there only 22% of people employed? What are we doing wrong? What are we not doing? What do we need to be doing? Because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was on the phone with my brother, one of my brothers this past week, and I told him, I feel like I'm financially drowning. I'm very good with my money. I'm very good with my finances. But when you have to eat out every meal because your caregivers don't know how to cook, they don't know how to cook American food, it is somewhat a little bit better than what it was a year ago. I will say that they are cooking a little bit more, but with me only getting $63 a month in food stamps, there's not much I can do with $63. And so I can get a lot more through the fast food drive-through than I can at the store right now. And unfortunately, food stamps, doesn't work at a fast food or a restaurant establishment, at least not here in the state of Ohio. And I know that there are people that have told me in my TikTok comments, oh, yes, there is. They just have to switch it to hot food. No, that's being dishonest. If Ohio says that they don't support hot food, they can't just override and just switch it. I mean, maybe I'm being too honest. I don't know. But even with this experience with Voc Rehab, I found out by doing a business concept report that allegedly I can't run a business in my own home. Now, this is not technically a business yet because I'm not making any money off this podcast. But I guess most assisted living places, which I'm not in one, have a rule that people with disabilities cannot have the tax forms come to their house and they cannot start a business from their own home. Now, I'm just sitting here having a Zoom call with you all. That's what I do. So, my landlords have said I'm in the good for now, but they may have to look at their policies and update them accordingly, which you know what that means. We're going to figure out a way to get you to stop from filming your podcast. So I really need your guys' help, whether you're a news reporter or whether you know a news reporter or whether you write articles for major magazines or major newspapers. I want to get my story out there, and I want to get guests for Nick Speaks. I want to come be a guest on your podcast. And yes, if you ask me to public speak somewhere, we are going to talk about fees, because I am no longer going to do speaking engagements and panels for free. I mean, this is ridiculous. You want me to spend 2 hours of my time to sit on a panel to talk about my life experience because you think it's so inspirational, but you don't want to pay me for it. But you think I'm such good inspirational porn that you want me there. Well, as you know, not all porn is free. So this porn star is going to start charging you, okay? Nickalicious is going to start charging you. So yeah, if you want me to come speak at your event, or if I start getting invited to a lot of podcasts, I'll do podcasts for free for now until I start getting invited to so many of them that I need to charge for my time. But yeah, I really need your guys' help to spread the word about Nick Speaks. And if you're a news reporter, I know I sound like a broken record, but please reach out to me and come do a story on me. And maybe you need to start doing more stories on the lives of people with disabilities, because there's silence from both sides of the aisle. This month is National Cerebral Palsy Month. It is also National Developmental Disability Month. And I have heard nothing from both sides of the aisle, unless it's been in my state house, which happened on March 4th. I have heard nothing from the White House or other politicians around the country recognizing National Cerebral Palsy Month or recognizing National Disability Month, but they recognize everything else. And that can only change by news organizations putting more of a highlight on the struggles and the challenges that people with disabilities face every day. And also the successes. I mean, I've been out on my own for 7 years, and everybody around me said, Nick, you're not going to be able to do that. I've had my own apartment. It'll be 4 years in May that I've had my own apartment. When I told people that I wanted to move here to Columbus, they said, I don't know how you're going to be able to do that. And I've been here in Columbus. It'll be 6 years this August that I've been here in Columbus. So I know that I'm going to achieve everything I want to do. It's just, I need some more wind at my back. I need some more support. And so if you're out there and you're able to give that to me, I would greatly appreciate it. Reach out to me. My email's in my bio. I'll say it again. nickspeaksofficial@gmail.com. Please reach out to me, especially if you're in media, if you're a talk show host. If you're a fellow podcaster, please reach out to me. Also, you guys, I don't really mention this, and I don't want to charge you for anything, but if you just want to support me just for what I do here, maybe if I got an extra few dollars a month to put towards my podcasting expenses, my brother is helping me take care of that right now, fully and completely. He's helping me take care of the podcasting expenses at Goodnight Podcasting Solutions, which Kyle has been wonderful to me. I want to reiterate that. He's been wonderful to me as far as my pricing solutions. So I'm going to do this. My Cash App will be available in the show notes. I'll make sure Kyle puts it in there. If you just slip me a few dollars, $20, $5, $10, so that I could just maybe eat a little bit better, or help me get some marketing out there. If anybody's in marketing and you can reach out to me and you're not a scammer, please help me. My Cash App is $Comstock90, and I will put it, I will put the money that you send me to good use, whether it's helping with my podcast expenses with Kyle, or whether it's helping getting marketing out there, or just paying some bills until I can get some public speaking gigs. I mean, all my bills are paid. None of my bills have ever went unpaid. My rent's been paid. 30% of my income goes to my rent, and I make sure that my rent is paid every month on time. Never had to ask money for rent, never had to ask money for any of my bills. But now that I've closed my case with Voc Rehab, because there is absolutely nothing they can do for me. They quite frankly don't know what they can do for me. I'm literally out here on my own. So my Cash App is $Comstock90. If you want to help me out in any other way, some of the ways that I've mentioned here in this podcast, I won't mention them again, because I feel like a broken record today. But if you want to help me out in any other way, like I said, I'll have my Cash App in the show notes. And I will also, you can email me at nickspeaksofficial@gmail.com, and we can talk about public speaking events and getting me to come on your podcast if you have one. And plus, I'm always looking for guests too, so maybe we can do a podcast swap. But on this 30th episode, I just wanted to share with you my heart and what I'm really going through. And I want to say to the folks that run vocational rehabilitation all across this country and in the state of Ohio, especially in the state of Ohio, if your mantra is that everyone is employable, then you need to tell everyone that you contract with, including Rachel, not to be telling people that, from what I see, there's nothing you can offer an employer. Because even though that was told to me back in 2021, that still rings very harshly in my ears. And it makes me feel like I have nothing to offer, even though I know I do. But it's just like people are too busy being in their cookie cutter system to take the time to figure out how I can offer what I believe the world would want, and what I believe I could really change lives with. So anyway, you guys, thank you for sharing this 30th episode of Nick Speaks. I will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening. Again, my Cash App, $Comstock90 will be in the show notes. And if you can help me in any way as far as spreading the word about Nick Speaks, email me at nickspeaksofficial@gmail.com. You guys can also listen to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and my YouTube channel at Nicholas Comstock. Currently, we're at 582 subscribers. So if you can get me to 1,000, that would be great, because then I'll be able to monetize over there on YouTube. So please help me do that as fast as you can. Thanks, guys. Remember, this is the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. I will see you next week. Bye.